Okay, I think new Doctor Who stuff is done breaking. What did I miss? So yeah, there's some stuff that's gone on over the last couple of weeks related to Marvel that I haven't had a chance to talk about because I've been buried in Doctor Who stuff. But this kind of gives me a chance to do an overview and sort of maybe catch up anybody else who has not been following everything. Part of what'll be interesting about this is I'm not sure too many of these as individual stories would have warranted a full video on their own, but gathered up and collected, yeah, we got a bit of stuff to cover here. So this is not going to be done in any particular order. It's just going to be the order the notes that I have for reference are in. Okay, let's go. Yahya Abdul-Mateen II has been cast as Wonder Man for an upcoming series. Now, I'm familiar with Abdul-Mateen from a couple of things. He was in the latest Matrix movie. I think the best showcase for him as an actor, though, easily has to be his role in Watchmen. He's really great in that series. It is the series, not the Zack Snyder thing. So I think he's a great pick to just honestly slot into just about anything. So that's exciting. Wonder Man, I do have to admit, is a character I'm not super familiar with, but I know a little bit about. He is a superhero, he has some powers, but he's also kind of a celebrity superhero. And not just in like the way that, say, Tony Stark or, well, honestly, a lot of the MCU are kind of celebrity superheroes in that they are known and sort of recognized in the street. It's not just that, because the character is a stuntman and an actor. So he's actually a more traditional celebrity in addition to having superpowers. Now, this is going to be for a series on Disney+, and it's also going to see the return of Ben Kingsley as Trevor Slattery from Iron Man 3 and Shang-Chi and The Legend of the Ten Rings, which, if we're dealing with actors in the MCU, like people who have that profession, that's a really easy pull to make. So that makes a ton of sense. I'm actually kind of excited about this. The writer who they got, Andrew Guest, probably is the best indicator of the overall tone of this because most of his work has been in comedies in one form or another. He's done writing for Brooklyn Nine-Nine as well as Community. There's rumor that Bob Odenkirk is being sought after to play potentially Wonder Man's agent, which would be interesting. There is also some attachment with Destin Daniel Cretton, who is the director of Shang-Chi, who is executive producing this new series and may direct some of the episodes. That's not entirely clear yet. I suppose it is worth addressing the casting in terms of race. Wonder Man is traditionally, or at least more accurately, originally a white character. I have not bothered to look up what the Rage Merchants have decided to say about this, because if they said anything, I already know what they will have said. Here's the one major thing that I will point out, aside from the fact that, I don't feel that this is a character where the race being white is intrinsic to the nature of the character. But even beyond that, this is not unprecedented, because much like Nick Fury before him, Wonder Man was black in the Ultimate Universe. So not only do we have a precedent in the comics for there being a black iteration of this character, it's from the exact same source that gave us Samuel L. Jackson as Nick Fury. So I'm going to go out on a limb and say most people complaining about that don't bring that up, have either done zero research or are being deliberately misleading. Next up, we have some additional casting announcements for Coven of Chaos, which is what Agatha the House of Harkness has now been renamed to. Now, we'd already had the confirmation of Emma Caulfield returning as Dottie, a character that she played in WandaVision. In addition to that, we now have the addition of Aubrey Plaza and Joe Locke. Joe Locke I'm not familiar with. He was apparently in Heartstopper, which I still haven't seen. Aubrey Plaza makes me kind of excited. There's rumor that she is going to be playing a villain. We don't know who either of these actors are going to be playing. If Aubrey Plaza is going to be a villain, that makes me really excited, because I saw her in Legion, and she was really good at being off-putting and menacing and villainous when she went in that mode on that show. So I'm super here for that. as for Joe Locke, while I'm not familiar with his work, the rumor at present is that he might be playing Wiccan, which would be one of the children of Wanda. So this theoretically could mean, if true, could mean that we're dealing with some kind of multiverse or some kind of time dilation or magic creating a version of what was supposed to be someone who was never even born in this particular reality. There's a lot of mechanisms in Marvel at this point to make that a reality. Again, not confirmed that's who he's going to be, but the rumors are going to run rampant simply because it hasn't been announced who they're playing. And just the opening means that lots of rumors and lots of possibilities are going to be floated. But that one seemed at least feasible and plausible given the nature of the show already as a spin-off of WandaVision. So yeah, I thought I'd throw that out there. If there's anything tempering my excitement for Coven of Chaos, it's that Jack Schaefer is going to be showrunning. Jack Schaefer was the showrunner on WandaVision as well. And WandaVision was good and intriguing until the very end, where I really thought it fell on its face. I did a whole video on that a while back. But I suppose there's a chance that Schaefer has learned from the reception to WandaVision, especially in regards to some things that were believed and kind of framed even in show as being big deals that ultimately weren't anything, and sort of the frustration fans felt with that. So maybe this will result in a sort of a better dynamic between the creative work and the fans. We'll see. That's not the only thing Schaefer's involved in. Schaefer seems to actually sort of have staked out the Wanda and Vision related stuff, because there's also VisionQuest. That's a working title, but that is also currently being headed up by Schaefer, at least being developed by Schaefer. And that is something that is going to follow a character that I really need Marvel to come up with a better name for than White Vision. I know that's not officially what the character's called, but it is the all-white version of Vision that appeared in WandaVision and did leave at the end of that, presumably to go on a journey of self-discovery, and there is now being a series set up to do that. There's a lot of potentially interesting stuff there. Funnily, my brain kind of goes, so you're gonna kind of have Vision go through the journey that it makes the most sense for this character to go through after he's already dead? Because, like, one of the things about Vision's introduction in Age of Ultron was that he was kind of fully developed. He came about fully formed. Now, like, he would eventually learn about things like love and affection, with Wanda, and had to sort his own feelings and that. But in terms of just general moral compass, sense of humanity, broadly speaking, yeah, he already had those pretty much immediately. So taking a much more cold, much more android-esque version of Vision and have him, for the audience, rediscover a sense of humanity, and for this particular iteration of Vision, find that for the first time, it's kind of interesting in a, okay, so since you didn't do this at the front, you're just going to do it now. But it doesn't feel like oh crap, we forgot to do that. It feels more like that was a storytelling opportunity we never got to have. But now we've got this other version of Vision, so let's have it. I do hope that's something they don't make a habit of. This is something I've expressed reluctance and concern about before, specifically in regards to the multiverse, the possibility of bringing in people either after they've died or have otherwise become available to sort of redo or take a second bite at the apple for the character when maybe they should just be closed out. I don't mind it right now with Vision. I just hope that does not start to become standard. Now, tangentially related to VisionQuest is, related by virtue of being in the same initial report that first broke the story, which later sort of got confirmed, yes, this is being worked on. This second thing has not been confirmed, but again, it was in a report that did confirm some stuff. And that is that Doctor Doom is not being planned as the main villain for the Fantastic Four movie being worked on. That doesn't mean he won't appear at all, but he's not being planned as the main villain. And also at this point, even though at time of recording, the the Black Panther sequel, Wakanda Forever, is not out for the public to see, so I haven't seen it. It has been confirmed by plenty of people who have that there's no Doctor Doom reference there, which some people have wondered if there was going to be. So I'm actually very okay with this because Doctor Doom is a villain. Like, as much as he is the iconic villain of the Fantastic Four, he's also somebody that I think you need to build up a bit, because you have him be the first villain they deal with. It's like he's bigger than that. It's kind of like how it made a lot of sense, especially in hindsight, that Batman Begins didn't deal with the Joker right off, and we got to him a little bit later. Doctor Doom is that kind of like, let's prove that this Fantastic Four works and is going to stick around before we burn off one of the best villains in all of comics. Not that I think they would actually burn off Doom. I expect he will stick around and they will get a lot of use out of him, or at least they will if they're smart. Couple of other things real quick, a little bit of casting. William Jackson Harper has been confirmed to be appearing in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. He's best known for playing Chidi in The Good Place, so I'm happy to see him in anything. We have no idea who he's playing, so again, the suspicion immediately kind of goes kind of big. Well, big in a if you know the comics way, because this is an odd character. But the rumor is that he's going to be voicing or in some way portraying MODOK, who is a weird dang character who has actually kind of been used already, not in the MCU officially, but in fairly recent stuff, as he had a Robot Chicken-esque series on Hulu briefly, there voiced by Patton Oswalt. Now, is this the character that Harper's going to be playing? No idea. Maybe, maybe not. But again, the fact that it hasn't been said who he is playing left the door open for speculation, and that's the current leading fan theory. Couple of other quick things to wrap everything up. Armor Wars is no longer a series. Now, this is going to star War Machine, so Don Cheadle's character of Rhodey. That was going to be a Disney Plus series. It's now going to be a film. Regardless of the shape that it takes, I actually am kind of excited about this. Rhodey, so far in the MCU, has been very much defined by being kind of a sidekick, kind of a second banana. You know, he was around because he was Tony's friend. And even in later films, it very much was something that felt like he was a sidekick. He was there because Tony was there. But Tony's now gone, so he actually has a chance to chart his own path, and I'll be very interested to see how that pans out. And I'm actually, the more I think about it, kind of glad it's going to be a movie, because I like the idea of taking this character who's been around for a while and elevating him to give him a big premiere like, hey, this guy who's just kind of been there, and he's been, you know, a good character, an enjoyable character, but he's kind of been second fiddle. Let's show you how awesome he can be on the biggest canvas we can provide for him, which is a film as opposed to a series. So I am kind of interested in that. It makes me think that whatever they were planning to do was going to be a fairly serialized single story, a bit like what Falcon and the Winter Soldier was, but that in developing it, maybe they realized, you know, actually, we could do this as 6 nearly hour-long episodes, or we could cut some of the subplots and get a really good movie out of the main plot that we're doing. Now, I don't know that's what happened, but that's going to kind of be my assumption until I find out otherwise. Somewhat also related to that, Ironheart, the Disney Plus series to star Riri Williams, who is a character being introduced in Wakanda Forever. So I don't have an opinion on the character as presented in the MCU yet. I haven't seen her, and I'm not super familiar with her from the comics other than, you know, the fact that she exists. But her series has wrapped filming. So that is moving forward steadily and seems to be on schedule, which is always a good thing. The Disney Plus shows, for the most part, have been pretty good about that. We haven't heard too much about budget or shooting schedule overruns as far as these things go. If they're happening at all, they are keeping on top of it pretty decently. And the last thing is, now this is a pretty quick offhanded thing, but the Russo brothers, who had started directing MCU films with the second Captain America movie, basically said, yeah, we're not going to do another Marvel movie this decade. Now, that does leave open the possibility that maybe they could get involved further down the line, but now we're talking like 2030. And they really seem to give the impression like, look, we had our time at the wheel, we put our stamp on it, let us do other things right now, which, you know, fair enough. They did really kind of leave their mark for what they helmed in, doing not only several Captain Americas, but doing like one of the big ones with Civil War, and then doing Infinity War and Endgame. Like, that's a pretty solid legacy within this franchise. And that's also like a good point to walk away and take a break. If you're going to stop at some point, Endgame's a good point to stop. So the thing is, I'm not sure I'm like super disappointed by this notion. I think the Russos did really great work, but part of the reason they did great work was because of the nature of the MCU and their own background as TV directors, being that they're used to coming in and basically just working with actors who already know how these characters function for the most part, and they're just putting them into something that is going to best service all these characters in the best story that they can, as opposed to being like core creative visionaries for the thing as a whole. That's not to say they didn't put their own stamp on it. They did, but they don't have a particularly unique feel to their work. And that doesn't make it bad. I really enjoyed the films that they directed, but they don't feel uniquely touched by a specific directorial intent. So unless the MCU as a whole really feels like it needs a really strong, steady hand because it's gone off the rails, which, while I haven't loved Phase 4, I'm not prepared to say that it's at that kind of point. I don't think that someone like the Russos really is required right now. And I'd be more interested with seeing stuff that is more just geared towards having unique or interesting directors do something with it. As much as I ultimately am very much disappointed with Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, Sam Raimi's fingerprints are all over that. And that is the kind of directorial choices that I want to see more of with Marvel. And so that should wrap pretty much everything up. What are your thoughts about any of this? Whatever they are, drop something down in the comments. Let's talk about it. What are you excited for? What did I miss? There's been a lot. If you want to support what I do, Patreon's the best way to do that. There's also YouTube memberships. You can follow me on Twitch. There's a bunch of stuff you can do. Links in the description for all sorts of stuff, but don't worry too much about it. What I really want you to do is remember that you are beautiful, you're valid, and you are loved. You are the council. I'm just running the meetings. And until next time, this council is adjourned. End credits, that means I need to shout out my top Patreon supporters. Robin Moore, Zupin Lutfula, Tarak, the thing that goes doink in the anime, Oliver B., Linda Walters, Emu Delkey, Leotha Boyd, Toy Loli, Becky Sparks, Renabi Likes the Poodle, Zach, Tracy Scrabbit, Angry Casperl, Adam RDL Taylor, Shay Lagourlay, Brendan LaRose, and TT. Thank you so much for your support. You can get your name in the credits too by checking out the rewards on the Patreon. You only tried to eat my earring once this time. That's much better.